Hi, and welcome to 10 Kids, 2 Docs, Parenting Insights from Pediatrician Moms. I'm Dr. Sylvia Bank.
And I'm Dr. Vivian Carlin. Welcome back.
Welcome back. Today we are going to discuss one of the most common diagnoses that we see in the pediatrician's office, and that is acne in teenagers.
Yes, something almost every teenager faces. I think the statistics are around 85 to 90% will have some acne in adolescence. What we're really going to focus on today is how you manage acne over the counter. Like, what are your first steps, right? What you can go do proactively at your pharmacy, at your grocery store over the counter. And Sylvia, in preparation for this, I was at my grocery store just yesterday and I went to the acne section and I took a photo of all of the Neutrogena products that are marketed for acne. And I want you to try to guess how many different products you think there are just with Neutrogena. And then I'll tell you how many there are when we come back after the intro. Let's jump in.
Welcome to the 10 Kids, 2 Docs podcast. Seasoned pediatricians and longtime friends, Sylvia Bank and Vivian Carlin have counseled thousands of parents and are raising 4 and 6 kids, respectively. Join these doctor moms as they incorporate fun and their combined wisdom and experience to share parenting insights for anyone looking for practical and trustworthy guidance. Please note that this podcast is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment from your doctor.
I think that my kids probably use 4 different Neutrogena acne products. So what I would imagine there's probably like 8 to 10.
Right. Okay. So this is just my grocery store. This is just Neutrogena. There are 19 different products to choose from. And let me just read you some of the names, right? Stubborn acne spot drying lotion, stubborn acne blemish patches, stubborn body acne treatment spray, stubborn body acne cleanser and exfoliator, grapefruit cleansing wipes for acne prone skin, rapid clear stubborn acne spot gel, oil-free acne wash daily scrub, oil-free acne wash sensitive skin, oil-free acne wash micro clear, clear pore cleanse mask, rapid clear pads, on the spot acne treatment cream. I mean, it's like totally overwhelming.
Right. As a consumer, when you walk up to these 19 products and you're basically reading these titles and thinking, do I have stubborn acne or not?
Yes, I think it solidified in my mind why there's such a market for online products that sell you like a whole regimen. Because how do you possibly look at that and know how to create your own multi-step acne regimen? So I think that's what we're going to try to tackle on this episode.
Oh, absolutely.
In fact, in preparation for this episode, I actually went through my house and pulled all of our over-the-counter acne products because I now have 5 children that have either like gone through the height of adolescent acne or just entering it. And so we have a lot of like over-the-counter acne products. So I wanted to see what we have. So I pulled all of it out, right?
No, I love that. And this episode is particularly how to start off if your children are beginning to have acne. What are the first steps that you can do over the counter to treat them, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So as I mentioned, I am now just starting my number 5 on a over-the-counter acne regimen. And unfortunately, as a parent, I feel like I've gotten a lot of first-hand experience towards acne treatment because I have had a child go onto Accutanes. But I feel like because of that, I've developed a lot of insight as a parent as to all of the products that are out there, both over the counter and prescription strength. And I feel like my mindset in acne treatment is we want to do as much as we can topically, like, applied to the face before we have to step up to oral medications. And that's certainly my philosophy as a pediatrician as well. So a whole bunch of that can be tackled over the counter. So that's where we're going to start.
Right.
I think as a parent, and as a pediatrician, there's a component of acne management for our children that is setting their expectation on what is a good treatment outcome. I need to make clear to my teenagers that if their goal is perfect skin while they're teenagers, that is very, very hard to achieve, if not impossible to achieve. And I also think it's funny. I think there's this generational thing where if you think about it, Sylvia, you and I, the closest distance that we could view our acne was in the mirror, like almost like what I can see on my screen now, right? But now, I mean, it's, you take a photograph and we have these high definition cameras in our pocket, and I see my teenagers do this. They zoom in, right? They zoom in and look at their makeup. I mean, you can see every single pore. So I feel like they're a setup for having this idea of perfection. And I feel like part of our job as a parent is to mitigate that with, let's set realistic goals for acne, right?
I think that you bring up a good point. Expectations in kids and what they see on social media and through influencers. There's so much more out there for teens and skincare, especially.
Oh yeah. The skincare market has exponentially taken off.
And they'll have age match peer-like people who are influencers on social media that promote skincare products, that kind of direct teenagers and kids on how to take care of their skin. I think it definitely puts even more attention on skin and self-consciousness with skin when it comes to those teen years.
Absolutely. I think that's absolutely true. There's just the way that everything is designed to market to us. So I feel like acne in this generation is different than acne in our generation. And some of it is trying to set a reasonable expectation with our teens for what is a good outcome. And I have to be very, very careful as a mother as to when I insert my comments. So I'm trying to convey to them, hey, with the makeup you put on or whatever, like, gosh, from the distance I'm at, I don't even see it, or I just think it looks so good. But I have to be so cautious in when I insert those comments.
Right. because if they were struggling with it that day, or they have like a moment of low self-esteem because of it, it could unleash a monster, right?
Yes. It has to be somehow couched in that perfect moment of, wow, your makeup looks really great today. And then maybe they'll make a comment back to me of, oh, but my acne's flaring. And then it's my opportunity to be like, gosh, I just don't even notice it. I have to be so careful. Otherwise it's like, Mom, you just don't even understand. Have you seen my face?
I think your story definitely touches on how this is a difficult age to be dealing with acne and imperfection. The teenage years, middle school, high school, when they're figuring themselves out, their self-identity is definitely kind of being evaluated. They compare themselves to their peers and the people around them. And obviously, what we mentioned before, the social media influencers. And there can be hypersensitive, where a lot can ride on, their appearance at this age, and having acne and something that's kind of medical and somewhat out of their control can add to that difficult period of time for teenagers, right?
Absolutely. Which actually makes me think of another point that I think is important when we're talking about acne in teenagers. There are entire podcasts on holistic approaches to acne and gut health and anti-inflammatory diet and all of these natural things that we can do to improve our skin health. And I'm fully supportive of that. I just think we need to be careful that we're not banking on that or really forcing that on our teens, because I think they're a much different acne population than the rest of adulthood. So we know acne starts in adolescence, 85%. That's the highest percentage for all age groups. It goes down from there. There are certainly adults that deal with acne for decades, and I don't want to belittle that, but there is a huge group of adolescents where their acne will significantly decrease or improve into their mid-20s, right?
Yeah.
And I also feel like part of that holistic approach to acne is looking at stressors in your life. And no matter how much we are training our teens to mitigate stress, adolescence is just a stressful time. It's continually fueled with change. New teachers year to year, new classmates, like a major test, the SAT, applying to colleges, a major sporting event, whatever it is, there's just a stress to adolescence that is situational, that's not going to be taken away. So I feel like adolescence is the perfect use case to also adjunct with pharmaceuticals. Healthy diet, all of those things that promote good skin health. But this is a really good time to also be using pharmaceuticals to try to bridge them through what hopefully will be the worst period of acne for their life as they go into adulthood.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that during this kind of vulnerable time, there's a whole list of people that are willing to give you advice and sell you something that
Mm,
is going to be the miraculous acne cure.
yeah,
Identified as a condition that a lot of people may be sensitive to, maybe linked to teen self-esteem at this time. You can
yeah, yeah,
imagine there's a market
yeah.
for people to capitalize on that. And hopefully, our advice in this episode is going to tell people how they can manage their acne without breaking the bank, without subscribing to expensive plans or ideas, and to just use what's available to you at the pharmacy, right?
Yeah, that's a really good point. So let me ask you then, Sylvia, can you explain to our listeners what acne is?
So your face and your skin are covered with all these tiny little pores or hair follicles. And these pores contain small oil glands called sebaceous glands that, naturally produce oils that lubricate the skin. But during puberty, there's a hormonal increase in this oil production. And this increased oil can clog the pores. And bacteria love the oils as well. So the bacteria proliferate in the pores, and then it creates like an inflammatory cycle that gives you the acne lesion or the zit on the face, sometimes on the chest and back. And a lot of the treatments, both over the counter and prescription, target specific points in this acne cycle.
Right now, I have a 13-year-old and a 14-year-old who both around the same time have just started that early, like, breakouts of papular acne, right?
Mhm,
So they're
mhm,
right at that point. They're also at that maturity of wanting to do something about it, where I am ready to hand them a product and say, okay, this is the regimen I want you to use. So
mhm.
what do you do, like, first step for that
Yeah.
patient that comes in?
Yeah, I mean, I see this all the time. So, usually the first thing I advise is to avoid oil-based skin products. So, if you imagine acne being an increase in oil production, then having an additional oil placed on a skin is not recommended. And this could be related to your moisturizer,
Mhm.
your cosmetics and your products, or the sunscreen that you're putting on your face could be an oil-based product and increase your acne because you're putting it on, right?
Okay, yeah. So even before you're talking about any of these like Neutrogena or other products that I just mentioned, you're talking about what you're using to care for your skin apart from the acne, the
Right.
sunscreen, the soap.
Yeah.
So with acne treatment, we want to make sure we're not doing anything that is abrading the skin because that can
Yeah.
actually aggravate acne. So it's
Right.
a really good time to be mindful of using a very gentle type of soap and then a sunscreen that is specific to not creating oil on the skin. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think what we should do in the second half is let's transition again to very practically what are the over the counter pharmaceuticals that
Mhm.
we recommend to start with acne, of which I think we're going to recommend three different things. Let's explain them and how you find them on the shelf where there are millions of acne products being marketed to you.
Right. Sounds good.
Okay, so Sylvian, what is the first line treatment that you recommend as far as something you can purchase over the counter?
Yeah. The first thing I start people off with is cleansing regimen. And I usually recommend a salicylic acid containing facial cleanser. And the way that you find that product is you actually turn your bottle over where they have a drug fact label that almost looks just like the nutrition label on foods. And it'll have this little line that'll say active ingredient. And in
Yes,
that
yes.
active ingredient, you read what medicine is in your product. So use a salicylic acid acne face wash that I recommend that they use without scrubbing, mild application twice a day for their acne.
Yeah, and so a salicylic acid, it actually helps exfoliate the skin, it sheds dead cells and unclogs pores, and then can also reduce the sebum production. It
Mhm.
can cause a little bit of dryness and irritation. You want to strike that balance. Like obviously it does have a little bit of an exfoliating effect that we want, but we want it to be gentle. And again, purely anecdotally, just pulling from my house and what we had, that is salicylic acid. I've got the oil-free acne stress control triple action toner. I've got the Acne Care 3-in-1 acne cleansing pads, and I've got the Power Clear Scrub acne stress control. And all of these are just salicylic acid. I mean,
It's like they're all the same product, right?
yes, yes, you
Right.
just have to turn over.
Right. So the first line I start with salicylic acid, right?
Yes. Okay. I totally agree. Little plug. I do love that salicylic acid comes as those pads, where you just pull one out because,
Mhm.
I have had some kids, kind of my ones with ADHD, where I'm like, I don't really want you to take this tube and squeeze it into your hand because you just make a mess. Here's one pad. You use one pad and then you throw it away. This is very
Right.
simple. Okay. So we do that and still having difficulty with acne, or
Sure.
maybe the acne is severe enough that you're going to start at next level as well. You
Right.
continue with salicylic acid, and then what do you add?
So the next product I recommend is something that has the active ingredient called benzoyl peroxide. Usually the product that I find in our area is like a gel or a lotion that you can squeeze out of the tube. And the way that I recommend putting it on, like a lot of teens feel like, I have one lesion here, I have one lesion there, and they literally kind of dab the lotion on each lesion. But the thought is that this regimen kind of helps prevent the next batch of
Mm,
acne that's
yeah.
going to happen, as opposed to
Mhm.
treating the lesion that's already out and on their face. So I try to be very specific with my recommendations. You do a 5 dot method where you kind of put a dab of the lotion kind of openly on 5 spots on your face, and then through those 5 distributed spots, then you spread the lotion or the cream onto your entire face in like the most troublesome areas where you typically see acne. And that
Oh,
is how it's supposed to be applied.
okay. So benzoyl peroxide, this is the first step that actually does target bacteria. It does have an effect of killing bacteria, which, as you described, is one of the primary causes of acne. And it also reduces inflammation. But again, just pulling from my own store, I've got the Rapid Clear Stubborn Acne Spot Gel Maximum Strength. And
Right.
I've got the acne free, oil free purifying cleanser. And when you read the back, it is benzoyl peroxide,
Right,
right?
right. And then I do want to add at this point that a lot of the very expensive subscription type acne regimens, when you really look at their active ingredient, a lot of these products are just benzoyl peroxide.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's no different than what you find at your local grocery store or pharmacies.
Yes, yes. Okay, so we've added those two. Now, what do you do? There's obviously, because I've mentioned it already, there's a third step that we can still do just over the
Mhm.
counter.
Yeah, so the last step that I recommend is for people to seek an over the counter product that's a retinoic acid. And this is
Mhm.
more tricky, I think, when searching through the pharmacy aisle and the active ingredients, because it can be named a lot of different things, right?
Yeah, so retinoic acid is the active form of vitamin A. It's the principle behind Accutane, which is like the epitome of oral acne treatment. It's also, I really think, the workhorse of topical acne treatment. Retinoic
Mhm.
acid works really well in skin renewal and cell growth and acne treatment and prevention. Retinoic acid can come in different forms. So there are retinoids, which tend to be stronger vitamin A derivatives, which are mostly prescription based. And those
Mhm.
are the ones like tretinoin, tazarotene. People may recognize those names. The ones that are most commonly marketed over the counter are retinols, which is a little bit of a gentler form of vitamin A, but still very effective. And some people may recognize retinol is often in a title for like anti-aging or anti-wrinkle creams because it
Mhm.
again it has that cell renewal effect. The one I find most commonly marketed over the counter for acne is Adapalene, and it has a completely different name because it's a synthetic retinoid, but it's the
Mhm.
same principle. But it's confusing because it doesn't have retinoin in the name of the active ingredient. The most common brand name for that is Differin that's on the market right now, and it will say in there comparable to retinoic acid, but Adapalene is also another word for this class of medications. So I think you're either looking for retinol or adapalene on that back or active ingredient. And there are sometimes when I'm looking, I have to Google because I'm like, wait, is this also a retinoid? There, like you said, the names and the marketing is very difficult.
Right. How many retinol products did you have in your find?
I actually did not have any over the counter retinoic acid
Mhm.
products in my house. And I think this is the reason that they do tend to get expensive. My older three, who have all been through years of acne management, have all had prescriptions for tretinoin, like the
Yeah.
generic retinoic acid. So I think I actually don't have any of the over-the-counter, but I would
Mhm.
certainly start there if I didn't have a prescription strength.
Yeah.
It's really a very reasonable way to start.
So, one thing when I recommend over the counter retinoid or if I'm prescribing, I also do the 5 dot method to get even distribution of the medicine throughout the face. But I
Mhm.
do stagger the application where the morning time is the benzoyl peroxide and the evening time is the time that they apply the adapalene, because sometimes the adapalene can make the skin sun sensitive.
Oh, I think that's such a good point, and I
Yeah,
do think people should be aware because you are more sun sensitive with the retinoic acid, which is
right.
why we do it at night. One of the issues is the problem that a lot of kids get acne on their backs.
Yeah.
So, how do you advise them on that?
So they have like loofahs on a handle or a scrub brush where you can put the salicylate on the brush and then kind of use it to clean the back when you're showering, to apply the salicylate there. It is very hard to
Mhm.
apply any of these creams or lotions to the back. So that often does involve a parent or a
Mhm.
sibling to help with the back application of the benzoyl peroxide. The other product that I see a lot of teens using are these small skin colored patches that they place directly on their acne lesions. So these patches are called hypercolloid pimple patches.
Yeah.
And what they do is they cover, they absorb oil, and then they actually have a bactericidal quality where it actually can kill the bacteria that can be the origin of some acne lesions. And it's over the counter.
Tell me if this is true. You're using the salicylic acid when you
Right,
wash your face,
right,
morning and night. The
right.
benzoyl peroxide in the morning, the retinoic acid at night. And
Yes.
then being very cognizant of some type of oil-free sunscreen, which we recommend every day, but really, especially on those days when your child is going to be outside playing sports, lifeguarding, swimming, at the pool, at the beach, whatever, some kind of sun
Yeah.
protection.
And then my kids tend towards dry skin, and a lot of
Mhm.
these creams also dry you out. So
Yes.
I also incorporate an oil-free moisturizer for the face as well. And that is my full regimen, over the counter regimen.
When you think about it, that really gives parents a lot of stepping stones to try.
And then at any point where this regimen doesn't work, or if you find that some of the medicines are really expensive over the counter, people do then seek their pediatrician for further management and next steps as well.
Yeah, that's a great point too. I have experience both as a pediatrician and a parent with those, as I've admitted. So I'll just rattle off some of the steps that you may hear or may be familiar with from your own doctor,
Mhm,
but often we'll add a clindamycin, like
mhm.
a topical clindamycin cream that's prescription, or even a low dose oral antibiotic. Sometimes for girls, we'll add oral contraceptives if it's a really hormonal based acne. Sometimes dermatologists will consider spironolactone, which is also targeting hormones, and then all the way up to Accutane, which is again that active form of vitamin A that really helps long term reduce acne.
Yeah. Hopefully, this will be a good first step for both parents and teens, if they're listening, how you can start an acne regimen with just the grocery store or your local convenience store. So, this is 10 Kids, 2 Docs. I'm Dr. Sylvia Bank.
And I'm Dr. Vivian Carlin. We'll see you next time.
See you next time.
Thank you for listening to 10 Kids 2 Docs, hosted and created by Sylvia Bank and Vivian Carlin. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and recommend our podcast to other listeners. Visit our website at 10kids2docs.com, where you can find links to social media and leave comments or suggestions. Back next week with more topics in parenting.